the coach. His name was Dustin Felder, because remember, it was an acting class I had never done. So he was like, stand-up comedy is your into the industry.
Of all the teachers, I said the one guy that really made an impact that was palpable and tangible and gave me a different outlook was Bill Hall.
My dad, he's been in law enforcement for over 20 years. He taught like the 4 rules of gun safety.
It was always the Mets, but like right out of the gate, it was Carter and Keith Hernandez. Those were the guys.
You know, I just want to say thank you. I've been watching you since I was a kid. Like I watched the Chappelle Show, and we would recite that shit all the time.
It surprised me how much I enjoyed. I coached my daughter's softball team this year. It was one of the best times of my life.
I dedicated this to Angela because I would not have done any of the stuff that I've been doing had it not been for her.
What's up? Welcome to episode number 149 of the People We Love podcast. I am Adam Choit. For more about this show, please head to peoplewelovepodcast.com. That will forward you to my link tree where you can subscribe to all platforms and whatnot. Please definitely subscribe on YouTube. Like the video, share the videos. Comments are appreciated for sure. Positive ones, of course. I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram and Twitter if you would like to follow me. AdamChoit.com for all my personal stuff, which also forwards rather to my personal LinkedIn with a bunch of links there. But for today's episode of this podcast, we have Toronto's own NFT entrepreneur. Let's call him Fresh Bueller. NFT, of course, stands for non-fungible token. I did look that up a moment ago just to confirm and remember that. But we get into the origins of his Fresh Bueller moniker, as well as Mr. Bueller's childhood of being a smart kid, but also someone who got into a fair amount of trouble. Eventually, Fresh found his way into the music business, just like his grandfather, singer Hank Young. To Fresh, Hank was just Pappy, though, and someone he loved spending summers with in nature outside of Ottawa. But we talk family, music, blockchain technology, NFTs, ghosts, aliens, and much more. So let's just get started. Here's Fresh Bueller. Okay, so it's good to see you today, Fresh Bueller. How you holding up during whatever year this is?
Yeah, it's a good 2024 so far, you know. Living life, loving life. How about you?
Nice. I'm all right. Thank you for joining me, by the way. I usually say that first. For some reason, I'm saying it second now. But yeah, things are good. Where are you at? Where are you located, by the way?
I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Nice. Yeah, we're gonna get into your story and your background and all that. But well, why don't you tell me I guess before I'm gonna go back to your childhood and stuff like that. But tell me about the Fresh Bueller name. What is that all about?
So, I guess it would be around 2003. A friend of mine started a clothing line, and I started helping him with that. And we were doing a lot of like things with local artists and some major artists as well. And I guess like throughout that time, a lot of people kept saying to me like, "Oh, you're so fresh, you're so fresh, you're so fresh." And then my friend who started the clothing line, he kind of ran with it and turned it into like Fresh Bueller. He was like, you know, you're like Ferris Bueller, but way fresher.
So it is fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
I think it took me probably like, I've been following you on Twitter probably a year. So I'm just guessing, maybe a year, but maybe 6 months later I realized it's Fresh. It's not Ferris, actually.
Yeah.
But you incorporate some of the Ferris Bueller artwork or movie nostalgia into your creative endeavors too, or
yeah, sometimes I kind of like sometimes I'll play on it. Like on Fridays for the last year, I was hosting a space called Fresh Bueller's Day Off.
Right.
We also at Zillionaire Goat Club, we did a drop for that space with a goat that was dressed like Ferris Bueller.
I think I saw that picture. As long as what you guys are doing doesn't get you into any sort of like legal licensing stuff, like you're okay, I guess.
Yeah,
for sure. In that regard. Why don't we get into your story and your background and you could tell me kind of where you grew up and your family, you know, tell me what your family life was like and siblings and parents and whatnot. And you can even start as early as you want, like born and raised and earliest memories, kind of what I ask everyone. I'll give you the floor to give your background.
I mean, my earliest memory is like, I don't know, when I'm like 4 years old, my whole family lived in like a big house, all my aunts and uncles. And that was kind of like the way I grew up early. And then everybody kind of split up and went their own ways. And yeah, it was just me and my mom for pretty much most of my life. My dad was in jail for most of my life.
Damn.
And then he got deported. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It was just pretty much me and my mom.
Yeah, it sounds like an interesting and I'm guessing even challenging at points childhood. And feel free to share or not share whatever you want about your personal stuff. I will pry, but don't feel obligated.
No, cry as much as you want, man.
Go everywhere you want to go with it. So did you grow up in, I know you said you're in Toronto now. Did you grow up in Toronto as well?
Yeah, my whole life, born and raised.
Your whole life, born and wow, okay, cool. I know they don't speak French in Toronto, but did you pick up any French from Canada over there?
I mean, in all through elementary school and high school, we have to learn French.
Oh, do you? It's mandatory.
Yeah. Although, I mean, some people just get away with it. Some people actually learn it. You only need a 50 to pass, so you know. But yeah, you do have to take French all through school.
So you grew up in this. Well, how long were you in that like big house with the extended family for?
I'd say until I was like 4.
Oh, so that was like almost like before you can even like remember.
Yeah, it's like my
anything.
earliest memory.
I got you. And then you moved with your mom to somewhere else.
Yeah, a bunch of places.
To a bunch of places. Were they mostly in like downtown, like urban, very urban areas?
Yeah. Only for grade 7 and 8, because I got in a bunch of trouble, did I leave the downtown core to go to a school where I wouldn't cause trouble.
We're gonna get into all that. For me, I grew up like in the suburbs, you know, in Long Island, and like outside New York City. And I always kind of like I still think like, oh, Manhattan people and city people, they're so like sophisticated or like more mature or just like more worldly or something like that. Did you feel like, how did you feel like? I mean, just tell me about, I guess, you know, being 5, 6 years old and growing up in an urban environment and what that was like, and we'll get into your school life and what you like for fun. I'll kind of give you the floor to take that wherever you want. I'm throwing a million things at you at once.
For sure. I mean, I guess at that time I was in a neighborhood that, I mean, you would compare it kind of to like Philly, all kind of like 1 or 2 level houses. And it was kind of like that kind of area with a little bit like, because the downtown core is like, you would say like Times Square, and then you go like 15 minutes to the west or the east and you've got like a completely different city. And I was just a little to the west, but again in the core. And so it was like living in a little neighborhood with a lot of people, like a lot of different ethnicities and a lot of, I guess, a lot of different personalities, and going just outside the neighborhood to see like the bright lights in the big city.
Gotcha. What were you into like for fun as 5, 6 years old? Were you already watching TV, reading comic books, into music already, you know, in elementary school age, basically?
Yeah. I mean, at that time, I guess, no, it wasn't Pokemon yet, but it was probably, yeah, like just watching TV, playing games in the backyard, soccer, football, hockey.
With just friends you made at school and stuff like that?
Yeah.
What kind of student were you? I mean, even in elementary school, because for a lot of people, including myself, it kind of gets harder.
So I was a great student up until grade 6. And then I wasn't.
And then you weren't specifically in grade 6. What happened then?
Honestly, I found it boring. I was like, they give you the work's done in 5 minutes, and then I'm bored. I don't know. I don't really have anything to do, so I would just cause mischief.
This is a common story.
Yeah,
Fairly common.
This is why I don't believe in the education system.
Right. It doesn't work for it doesn't work for kids like who are amazing students and great students a lot of the time, and it doesn't work for kids who struggle or just shouldn't be there. But that's more for, I guess, certain like college or even like certain classes going up. Or
I'll be honest with you, even at the young level now, like I don't know that I agree with schooling the way it is, because the kids are going to school, they're doing this mind-numbing thing for whatever 8 hours a day, and then they come home and they customize the lesson plan, and they're like becoming millionaires at 13, building businesses, actually learning how to do things like code, and you know what I mean? So I feel like going to this school for 8 hours does nothing to serve them but like turn them into a drone.
And which is probably the worst thing, or equally as bad as just the fact that it's a waste of time, and time is a finite resource. You could spend that other time doing something else, or just focusing on the aspect of school that you're interested in. Like I do think it's okay. It's almost like a weird society is like afraid to have people specialized. Like there's this like feeling in America, especially, feel like, oh, you have to go to school, you from K through 12, you have to go to your high school homecoming, you have to be part of things, this is the way it is, blah 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 blah. You can't, like, it's almost like when they wanted to keep, like, the NBA scouts out of like high school gyms and stuff like that, and I guess I get some of that, but like if you're so great at something and you have a potential to make a life of something, like go like do that. It's no different than any sort of prodigy. Like we want to like hold back our prodigies, or
100%, and I find it
hold back everyone.
I find it so strange.
Yeah,
like why would you want to stifle people? Like this is why, again, I'm against it for so many reasons, right? I feel like it's like they're just turning you into a drone. They just turning you off, basically turn your brain off and do this thing for 8 hours a day, and then you get to go live your life.
I wonder if like more people are generally snapping out of that mindset as you just talk about adolescents becoming millionaires through coding and through online ventures and learning about anything and everything just from
even
the internet.
Like, I've seen 13-year-olds that do arbitrage, and I
don't even know what that is.
I'm not even talking about like Amazon arbitrage. I'm talking about business arbitrage. Like they buy and sell businesses for people. They're 13 years old. They just understand the market. They understand the companies. They understand the sentiment, and they know how to make these calls at 13.
Are these kids, though, I mean, not to dive into like politics or anything like that, but are these kids that you think going to be like responsible sort of like contributors to like society beyond like just making money? Is this making them well adjusted, or is there a negative to any of this, I guess, is my question. I
mean, I don't know. Well adjusted to what? Right. This is the problem too.
Right. I guess just, just good people, like, or are they so caught up in like the technology? Are they savants, or are they like, well-rounded,
I mean, I think it's like anything. I'm sure that there's a balance, right? I'm sure that some of them are savants and some of them are not.
Right. Tell me about your grandfather before, because you did mention him before we started recording, and this is your grandfather on your mom's side that you wanted to mention. Correct. And I'm guessing you knew him, your whole life or since birth. So
yeah.
Curious about the role he played.
That was my best friend. To me, that's the guy that made me a man. I used to spend every summer with him. I mean, we used to go to the cottage just outside of Ottawa. Every summer, I'd come back on the day before my birthday, and I just find that my mannerisms and the way that I approach life is very much like him.
Did he live? So he didn't live in Toronto as well.
He did.
He did live in Toronto, but you went away with him during the summers.
Yeah. He had a cottage outside of the city.
Nice. And it was just you and him, or other family or friends, or
and with his second wife.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But mostly just the three of you, or the two of you guys spending time
like
together?
my mom would come up sometimes and stuff like that, but mainly like maybe for a weekend or, on a day trip passing through or something like that. But it was mostly just me and him. His wife kind of did her own thing, and it was just, like me and him doing all kinds of stuff, going fishing and all kinds of stuff like that throughout the summer.
Is that where you learned to fish, was from him?
100%. With a stick and a line and a hook. Before he's like, if you can't fish with this, then you don't deserve a rod.
Why is that? just starting base, just a basic.
Because you got to be able to hook it with the stick. You got to be able to do it on your own. Like a rod is luxury, right? If you're gonna survive.
Right, yeah. That is kind of how I guess learned or first fished, in like a little pond or something like that, with just the stick and the little piece of, they throw a piece of corn on the end of it or something like that. What kind of fish did you catch?
Smallmouth bass.
And you could eat those. You cook those, fillet them and all that?
Yeah, we did.
That's good. I mean, there is something, I mean, the expression doesn't come from nowhere, like to teach a man to fish thing. It's like, it's everything, like
100%.
Yeah, very, very cool. What else did you guys do up there? A lot of outdoorsy stuff. It sounds like it was in like a naturey.
Yeah, there was a river behind the house. Would go out like at 6 a.m, watch the herons come and fish. It was just, I mean, again, I think it was not so much what we did, is just like how much of an impression he made on me throughout my life.
Right. I got you. That's super cool. What did he do for a living? And what was your grandfather's name?
His name was Hank Young. He was a country music singer.
Really?
Yes.
Very cool. Tell me more about, I should be Googling this person?
If you want.
I will after the fact.
Yeah.
So he was a country music singer in Canada? Or,
yeah, I mean, he sang at the Grand Ole Opry with Dolly Parton and stuff like that. I mean, he had his time. He had his fun. I don't know. To me, I think it was like, I think he made a bigger deal of it than it was. But it was cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is cool. And you remember him, I'm guessing, as grandpa, like first and foremost, like
100%.
Yeah. When did you first recall or like realize that, oh, this guy's, an entertainer that people know and care about on some level?
When he passed away.
You didn't know. You didn't.
I mean, listen. I didn't realize. Like, I didn't recognize the magnitude of it. And then he passed away, and like fans sent like dolls. Like, I have a plush that's made from a fan from Germany that looks like him. Like, just, I don't know. I guess I didn't realize the extent of it.
Interesting. What about what happened in we may get back to your grandfather, but what happened in 6th grade? Oh, you got bored. You said.
Yeah, and I kicked a kid off the like, I guess it's like a tree house, but it was on top of a little brick house where they kept the tricycles for the kindergarten kids. And so like I'm sitting in the tree house with this girl, I guess my girlfriend at the time, grade 6, and this little kid, Emmett, comes running up and starts, I don't know, screaming something, and I ran out and I kicked him off the little hut and got suspended indefinitely.
How far? So he fell like out of a tree house, basically, is kind of what I'm picturing that correctly.
Yeah.
But you just meant to kick him away, not downward, maybe?
Yeah. Like, I mean, listen, I didn't mean to kick him down the stairs. You know what I mean? Like,
damn.
But I did. So.
But they should have shown. But I mean, obviously, if he got hurt and you're not supposed to do that, but it seemed. But you didn't do it on purpose. A lot of times kids do terrible things and they do them on purpose.
Yeah, like it wasn't in my character, but I don't know.
See. What was in your character?
I mean, again, at that time I was like kind of a smart kid. It was grade 6. We were like playing Pokemon cards and maybe tackle football in the snow, basketball. Again, like my school was multicultural and everybody kind of just hung out. There wasn't really like a cool kids club or whatever. Everybody kind of just did the thing. Whatever the thing was that week, we were all kind of doing it.
All right. So you were a smart kid, but not necessarily good in school, kind of by choice, just by not being interested in it. 100%. And what about like, through middle school going to high school, were you into like music or like movies, TV shows, other popular culture things?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, grade 7 and 8, I played the alto sax. Then kind of dropped it, got, I guess, bored of it. I mean, I've always been into pop culture. I feel like everything pop culture and music. My taste in music is so eclectic. I like everything from classical to country and anything in between.
Do you have, I mean, a lot of people have eclectic taste and diverse taste, but do you have favorite kind of music, I suppose?
Honestly, it's not a type of music. I just like a good voice.
Interesting.
Yeah, like, so if I'm alone, chances are the thing that I'm listening to, unless it's to pump me up, I'm probably listening to something where somebody's singing.
I wonder why that is. Maybe it's in your blood is what I'm getting at. There's some kind of genetic or just it's your grandfather's influence on you in that regard. I'm guessing has to be part of it.
For sure.
And what about high school? What kind of kid were you? What were we into getting into your teens?
Ooh, high school was, I guess, for lack of better terms, a clusterfuck. Grade 9, first semester, I got kicked out of school, had to go to an alternative school to be able to get back into another school. Went back in grade 10 to a normal public school. Second semester, or at the end of the first semester there, got kicked out and had to leave the school board. I couldn't be in that school board anymore. So I had to go to a Catholic school.
Why are we getting kicked out of all these schools?
Fighting.
Well, why are we fighting?
I honestly was getting picked on and I wasn't taking it because, like,
self-defense.
Yeah, but so, like, where I'm from, I'm a cool kid, and then you go to high school and you're not the cool kid, but like my friends are still there, so I'm still cool with them, but the actual, I guess, cool kids of the school don't like that so much. But I'm not gonna just be a pushover.
They were threatened by you, other people in the school, on some regard. Threatened by, I mean, I'll let you fill in the gaps, but it sounds like threatened by, like, almost like the confidence of you and your friends. I don't know if you guys instigated anything with them.
I mean, To be honest, not really. Because again, where we grew up, it was like everybody's just cool. You know what I mean? Like you didn't get picked on for any particular reason. Like maybe if you pissed your pants, you got picked on for the day. You know what I mean? But like everybody was kind of cool. So we weren't like going around being assholes to them or trying to fight them or trying to pick on them. We were just kind of hanging out. And I guess they don't like that.
And neither did the district or the school or anything like that. That's unfortunate. Did your grandfather and your mom and those around you sort of have sympathy for you, or are they upset about how did everyone else react to the trouble you got in?
My grandfather always had my back. Always. It didn't matter what I did. I could do no wrong. But my mom, like, again, my mom always had my back as well. Like my mom never like threw me to the wolves, but when we got home, like I was in shit, you know what I mean? Like she wasn't happy about all the shit that I was getting in, for sure.
Right. Because maybe like you looking back, I'm guessing there could have been some moments and some choices you made that were different that could have avoided those situations, even if, you know, to some degree,
yeah, I could have walked
doing the
away.
right thing.
100%. A lot of times I could have walked away.
Yeah, but those fucking motherfuckers probably deserve what was coming to them.
100%. But you know what, though? This is the problem, right? Is like you can't always give people what they deserve.
Right.
Right?
So
Like,
I
it's
was
not
talking.
my-
Right. I was talking to what was his James. Well, his last name's slipping. James Wiley, and he's a libertarian political guy out in Colorado, and he was like talking about how like justice isn't like really something a lot of us need to necessarily get involved in. Like we kind of just have to stand up for ourselves, do what we think is right, but like the act of justice is kind of a little bit out of our hands.
well, like not a little bit, like legally it's 100% out of our hands, right?
Right, but even spiritually it's out of our hands.
Listen, here's my thing. Like if I see two men fighting, I'm gonna let them fight. I'm not gonna say, and if I like it, or to be honest, if I see most things happening, I'm not gonna say anything. But like if you're hurting a child, if you're hurting a woman, I don't think I could walk away.
Right. Right. It really isn't our place necessarily to break up a fight because we don't even know what it's necessarily about and how it started and I don't know. Like
Listen, my human nature is I want to watch.
Right. But I think it's beyond I think there's some things could be potentially more moral about just letting whatever's going to play itself out versus like intervening or even like it's like everyone's just kind of like watching the train wreck for entertainment. I get that, but it's also kind of the right thing to do is to maybe not get involved.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, who are you? Now you're just a third person involved in the conflict. Like nobody decided you're judge, jury, or executioner, right?
Yeah, and like the thing is like every species on this planet, I'm pretty sure, definitely probably mammals and definitely interspecies, like fighting is pretty part of nature. Like, I mean, I get that, but what I don't like, and not to get too deep political or philosophical, is like, you know, the mass murder. I don't think that's necessary. I think it's okay for a couple of people, guys or girls, to fight over some like baby mama drama kind of stuff. But that stuff's gonna like, you know, whatever happened, like, you know, people are gonna have tempers and there's going to be bar fights and like things like that, but it's the mass murder I think we can stop.
I agree. But I mean, I think that's where you kind of draw the line, right? Like I would still be down for a good old fashioned duel though. You know what I mean? Like if two guys want to shoot it out, you guys want to do a good old fashioned duel, go ahead. But I think the mass murder, because I also don't think that that's murder, right? Like if me and you have a problem and this is how we as men decide to handle it, I don't think it's murder if you kill me.
Consensual fighting to the death should be legalized.
I mean, I think everything should be legal.
Right. There's something. Someone was making the argument that murder should be legal. Maybe it was you. I forget who was doing that. Someone on a podcast, and it kind of was making like sense, because who's going to murder someone if they could get murdered legally for doing it?
Exactly. Listen, it's the thing about guns that people who are anti-gun don't understand is if everybody had a gun, nobody'd be getting shot. Way less people would be getting shot. Because if I know you have a gun and you know I have a gun, you're not like fuck, I'm gonna pull this out, because if I'm faster on the draw and you're pulling out your gun, I'm gonna kill you. You know what I mean? Or I'm gonna seriously injure you.
An armed society is a polite society. These phrases don't come out of nowhere. I just don't believe it. The more and more I live on this planet, because I think almost like cliches become trite, or people are afraid to say things like even like peace and love, because they seem like what they call platitudes. But platitudes and cliches and these phrases and these things that, you know, are not particularly interesting, but a lot of them are like true, even getting down to like things like the 10 Commandments, and a lot of, you know, it's like, oh, that kind of makes some sense. Like, I could see why these are good things that may stand the test of time, which is why the powers that be want to destroy all that's good in any terms of any sort of tradition, I guess.
100%.
More moral traditions that are tied to morality. I think that's the big thing. They don't give a shit if you do some trivial kind of thing, or they probably would want to get rid of that too, but like, it's the traditions that are tied to morals.
I feel like I feel like right now it's tear everything down for no good reason and replace it with nothing. I feel like that's like the mindset of like the current generation. Like, we don't have an idea of what we're going to replace it with, but what you have is trash. Tear it down.
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't even think of it in those terms, because what I'm thinking of is like the powers that be want to tear things down so that they can control things and have everyone worship and let them be the god of the society, be it the government or the, you know, the technocrats who rule over us. But from the point of view of people who are younger than me, younger than you, who are growing up and buying into the ideology that's forced upon them, they don't really even have the brain power to some degree, like younger people, to have the foresight to the future. Like, yeah, it's like there is no plan. Maybe the people in power have some sort of plan, what they want, but the young people that support them blindly, they have like,
they pray to the apple god, man. You know what I mean? Like, what? So, what your take on it? That was what was happening. Now they pray to the apple god, and then we tear it down ourselves. They don't have to tear it down no more.
What do you mean the apple god? What do you mean?
Like, everybody's stuck to technology, right? Everybody's stuck to their phone. Nobody really knows anything anymore. People don't even really retain information. That, like, if somebody tells you a fact, it's because they read it this week. You know what I mean? Like, people don't research things, and people don't know things. They're getting their information in 15 minutes spurts off their phone, or 15-second spurts off their phone, right?
Right. And there's no real discerning, especially if something's like distant. There's no real discerning what's more of a serious matter than another thing, because everything comes at you in the same like way on social media, which is a wild thing in itself.
Yep.
Strange times. What about yeah, that's where we're I was gonna say headed, but it's pretty much like where we are. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. Like, in terms of like these things, like, and not being able to discern what's important and what's not. Like, people have the same amount of a lot of people have the same amount of rage for everything, and rage is outrage is a finite
but like things that don't matter to them, right? Like, this is what it is. It's like a rage or outrage culture. It's like everybody is outraged by everything. Everything is such a big deal. Like, you say or do anything, and it's not just the action. You are now an ism. You know what I mean? Like, you're a racist, you're sexist, you're a bigot, you're a this, you're a that. Like, nothing is just a singular action.
And when you get older, I think naturally, maybe this is just me, maybe this is other people, you give less shits about more things. But you care deeply about fewer things.
Uh-huh.
I always come back to, I've been talking, this come up in conversation a bunch of times or several times lately, maybe because I'm bringing it up, but like, if the aliens really did come here and like we knew it was real, like we would just like, or no, it was, if we found out we were alone in the universe and there were no aliens, we somehow got confirmation of that, we would like care about each other for like, it would be special for like 5 minutes, and then we would just be back to doing whatever and killing each other and this and that. And also we don't care anymore. Like,
do you think people would even believe it?
I guess I'm not in this hypothetical. It's like whatever I'm saying is like
God told us all, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like it came into your head. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Like
If we confirmed aliens were real, we would probably not care that much. Like after a short while, we would just go on to the next crazy thing. Like
we proved that in 2023. The whistleblower guy came out. He went through all the proper legal channels and everything. He came out saying about aliens and UFOs and all this shit, right? Everybody cared for 2 days.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And now they're like, oh, well, whatever. Like, but technically, like now we know they've been here. You know what I mean? Like the government didn't say shit, didn't deny it. They had to come out and fucking talk about it. You know what I mean?
The only way the aliens can get attention is by doing the same things that everyone else does to get attention. You better fucking be able to shoot a basketball. You better be able to sing. You better fucking be able to start a business and make some money. You better be as cute as a cat on Instagram or as hot as a fucking model on Instagram. Like, you bet, like, just being an alien is not going to be enough to get people's attention.
Nope. Listen,
unless they're a threat or they affect our lives directly.
There have been people identifying as aliens for at least 5 years.
Well, that could be. Well, yeah, I don't. Maybe they are. Maybe they aren't. I could go many ways in that conversation. Well, tell me where you think we were headed, or where were we headed? Junior, senior year, I guess of high school age, 17, 18, where we're planning on going to college or working, and like where were we at mentally and
at that point it was planning to go to school for music engineering, audio engineering, and then I dropped out second semester, grade 12
of high school.
Yeah. So
you almost made it.
Oh yeah, I almost made it. I don't know that I want to say what I did from there for a minute.
Oh, I'm gonna ask offline.
Yeah.
If you're still selling whatever it is. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea what you did. Man, I'm fucking good. I don't know. I could have been stripping. You'd probably be proud of that. That's more proud. Yeah, hey man, I'm not trying to judge people, whatever, as long as other people aren't getting hurt too badly in the process.
No, man, listen, it was just weed, a lot of weed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it means you're successful at what you were doing. If it's quantities,
100%
quantity. Yeah. Allegedly, 100% allegedly. Yeah, allegedly. Your cops up there are worse than what we got down here. Just
lost all my guns and ammo in a boating accident.
Right. Is that true?
I don't know. Is it?
Allegedly.
You
got to defend your product and your business and territory. I know how this works. Anyway, where do we go in the story after that?
I mean, from there, I guess I was just a degenerate, man. Like I was a degenerate. We were making music and getting involved in the Toronto music scene. First in the back end, and then like doing artist development and management.
But you weren't a musician.
I mean, I used to make music for fun. I was never like gonna be the next rapper, you know what I mean?
You sang and rapped and did
Yeah.
vocal kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The sax never came back, and no other instrument.
No. But I mean, to be honest, I've been thinking about it more now. The older I get, the more I'm tempted to buy a sax.
Do it. I used to play trumpet. And I play a little guitar now, just for fun. That's what I've been playing for the last couple of decades or whatever. But I did play trumpet in like elementary school, middle school age, and I have one, but I need to get the valves fixed. I talk about it, but one of these days I'll dive back into that myself. Was your grandfather in the loop as far as what you were pursuing musically?
No. In fact, I feel like that's kind of one of the things that sucked, is that like we never talked about it. We never got to talk about it
because he'd passed.
Yeah.
How old were you when he passed?
Like 19. It was like 2009 or 2010.
Yeah. So he passed away during your business entrepreneurial phase rather than in your music production phase.
Yeah.
That's okay. Hey, I'm sure he's proud of your journey.
For sure.
Was he a weed smoker?
No. And the thing is like when I was really young, like my mom and my uncles and like they all used to smoke weed, and my grandfather hated it. But like a couple years before he passed, because like my uncle is epileptic, so he smokes weed for medical purposes. And so like my grandfather started coming around, and like you started seeing more and more shops pop up in the city where you could go buy your medical marijuana, and he started coming around to it. Like, and so I don't think that, like, if he was still here now, I don't think he'd have the same stance on it.
Yeah. I'm finding that like stigmas matter to normies about things. People who don't really care as much what other people think are not thinking about something like a stigma when they live their lives how they want. But stigmas matter to normies, and titles matter to normies. And the idea of something being legalized can obviously give something credibility, I guess, in culture. But it's interesting how like the perception of things can affect individual opinions.
Right. It's I don't know. It's interesting because I think it's like, say, for example, for me, I think it ruined it, right? Like I think legalization ruined the industry, at least in Canada.
Well, you were on the other side of it, but you're talking about ruined it in the same way that I'm going to mention it in terms of like the regulations and
quality
and getting into the business and the quality and how all of that stuff, the economic side of it, not necessarily like, oh, it was more fun when it was legal. That's not really what you're talking about.
But like I still have a guy. I still get my weed in a fucking Ziploc bag. You know what I mean?
Some people still do.
Yeah, I do. Because, and it's 100% federally legal in Canada, and I still have a guy because my guy is always better.
Right. And I think that why I'm pretty sure, and you could speak to it, like in Canada, that's like the regulations are even more insane, and the taxes, I'm guessing, are even more insane than it was even in California. Like, what is there, like 6 companies have to apply for like a national license or some crazy thing like that?
If you want to distribute your product in Canada, you have to go to one of like 3 or 4 companies that have a license. You can become a licensed producer, but you have to sell your product to them.
This is not freedom.
No.
This is not. What is freedom about? Economic freedom is the most important kind of freedom.
The only people that have the complete freedom to do it are the indigenous people. They can open up like what they call like medicine shop, and you can go in and buy bud. You can buy whatever, and they're not allowed to say anything, close it down, tax it. So
yeah, that's I forgot what I was gonna say. I had a follow-up question about that. All right. Well, why were you what made you a degenerate more than just being a 20-something-year-old? What is the distinction, or is there none? Just
Plead the fifth.
fair enough. No, I get that. Well, you didn't end up in jail or prison or anything like that.
Not at that age.
Not at that age. That came later. We'll cross that bridge. You should identify as Indigenous because you could do that in Canada, and then you get your license. Could that be is that a loophole, you think?
You have to have like the band of the tribe would have to accept you.
Yeah. How much would that cost to bribe them?
Probably $20K, $25K.
Oh my God, you know that number, and that's possible because money talks.
Talks. Yeah, 100%. Listen, it's not really that big of a deal. You get a tax exemption, right? Like if you were gonna open a shop or something, $25K, I'd pay that like monthly.
They need to well, I guess that's what it is like, when like the big beer brands buy out a smaller micro brew or something like that. Is that how it kind of works in Canada a little bit, like with the weed?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Like, so, but not necessarily like a micro brewery, but like, I guess whatever the next step up would be.
Yeah, you know what I didn't ask you? Does it suck that it's cold as fuck up there or what? I didn't really get into much of the weather
It's
talk.
actually not that bad right now. What's the weather where you're at?
I'm not gonna say it because you're gonna hate me and be jealous. I'm in Southern California, so I mean, there's that. What is it right now? Literally outside, it's 61 degrees right now.
Okay,
that's what's keeping me here more than anything.
let's see. It's 36 right now.
Yeah, that's not too bad. I'll be in New York later next month, so I don't know what it's gonna be then, but I'll have to bring some more clothes. But in general, you didn't really. It's all you knew is the long, cold, snowy kind of thing, and you get used to it.
I mean, it's shittier as an adult. Like as a kid, you have no fear, you have no feeling. You go out into it and you weather it and have fun. And then you become an adult and you become a curmudgeon and you like screw your face up when you go out into it because it sucks because you have to bear it. You know what I mean? But I don't know. The cold sucks, but at least you can put more things on and become warm.
I've had that thought too. Versus being in the desert and the 110 degrees, you can't take off more clothes and get cooler.
But it gets hot as shit here in the summer too, right?
You got some humidity up there in Toronto in the summers.
Yeah. So like in the summer, it's like, I mean, this past summer it was like 106, 107. So you know what I mean? It's a big
nice
fluctuation.
Change. I kind of miss that though, and it's kind of interesting. Like even growing up in New York, where I had like just 4 distinct seasons. Like I like that, and I like the idea of maybe the possibility, like this summer day could be really hot, or we could get a fucking snowstorm. You don't know what you're gonna get, but mostly with everything in between. There's no real extreme springtime weather. I guess that would be rain, and the fall would be wind.
Well, now it's just hot as shit or cold as shit. There's no in between.
Yeah. We live in a polarizing society in all areas.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about your 20s and the music production and your professional, journey, and we can go on tangents, I'm sure, wherever.
I mean, my 20s were spent in the studio, in the club, and at home. Doing a lot of networking, doing a lot of, partying a little bit. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was a lot of learning throughout that time. I feel
the learning never stops.
Yeah, but yeah, like soaking up a lot of games, soaking up a lot of like industry stuff going on, trying to learn the ins and outs of things. Yeah, that was kind of my 20s. Going, I guess, yeah, going on the road a couple times, doing a couple shows out of town and stuff like that.
It sounds like you worked. So you were like in production. You were in the engineering side of things rather, and like promotional side. It seems like you were wearing a lot of different hats in the
100%.
business.
All like all the hats, writing, just not the
performing.
Artist. Yeah.
But you were cool with that and enjoyed that. You kind of found
100%. I don't need the spotlight, right?
Right. Not all the time.
I need it now. Now I need it.
Now we're ready for it.
Yeah, I'm coming for it now.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, again, not again, but this is like the NFT stuff and some of the things that you guys are all engaged in. That's a lot of it's even like beyond my scope and as far as what I even my knowledge and all that. But like that's where I connected with you is in the Zilly Goat
Twitter
space, exactly. So I guess bring me maybe up to date from music production to whatever the hell you're doing now, and if maybe it's still music production as well. I'll kind of I've already taken up I know a lot of your time already.
So I guess elevator pitch style. In high school, got into a relationship, stayed with the same person for 14 years, got out of it, had a drug addiction, dropped the drug addiction, got into NFTs, and we're here.
What explain to as if I'm the dumbest person in the world, what exactly is an NFT and what's your role in that field? And you're doing this full time?
Yeah, I mean, not just that, but full-time digital.
Yeah. So tell me about NFTs.
They're basically a digital collectible. Long story short, without any buzzwords or anything crazy or too technical, they're a digital collectible. They live on the blockchain, so they can't be erased.
Right. And like I'm like anything, I have like some healthy amount of, I guess, skepticism about any new technology or currency or anything that's going on, but also excitement about it and appreciate the passion of others and you know, that including their pursuits of it. Like so I think that's cool. And really, like, if we're going to talk about free markets, like I've definitely seen jokes about NFTs, like who's going to buy just a photograph or a picture? And it's like, I don't fucking know anyone who, like, if there's a demand for something, then it gets sold. You got these bitches buying these like cups or whatever. Like, you seen this? I don't know what this, like, these
Stanley cups. Like,
yeah, like,
come on. People will buy anything that you tell them to buy.
Right. And let alone something like an NFT, which has there is time and effort and creativity and artistry that goes into what you guys produce. Well, what were you going to say?
The truth of it is the technology is not even being utilized or realized or actualized yet. Like, we're just at the cusp of the start of utilizing blockchain technology, and
right,
for digital collectibles and what digital collectibles can be and can be used for. So, I mean, I feel like it's like the internet, right? They said, like, oh, the internet's not going to last 6 months. Here we are doing a radio show. We're halfway across the continent from each other.
Yeah, if people didn't believe in like if NFTs like had such a low chance of being a success or something, would this many people be diving into the world for this amount of time already? Like, is the so-called market of NFTs flooded with creators right now? Would you say, generally speaking?
Yes. And actually, like we were talking about this earlier in the space, and my opinion on it has kind of been swayed to think this way. I'm not sure that blockchain technology should be like cheap to use, because then it becomes oversaturated. It becomes easy to like for scammers to utilize because it's free or cheap. You start having things like what blockchain was made to stop, right? Like spam emails. If it's free to send things on the blockchain, then I'm just going to send something like, you know what I mean? People are going to start sending farts to people's wallets because it's free.
Yeah. But who sets those prices, I guess, is the big question. And what
Who gets the money?
Right. How do you define blockchain technology? Like, you kind of defined it before as
so it's like a peer-to-peer network.
Right. But it's something can't be erased, and there's a level of security that's associated with it.
It's because like so the data is not stored in a centralized place. So if your computer gets destroyed, it still lives in 6,000 other computers.
A system in which a record of transactions, especially those made in a cryptocurrency, is maintained across computers that are linked in a peer-to-peer network. Word. Yeah, you're cutting edge. I always feel just like listening to the spaces with you guys, even if I don't understand everything that's going on, I feel like I'm just like learning and being a part of the future in some ways. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Bro, I'm on the fence, man. Every day I feel like more and more we're just feeding Skynet, you know? We're the ones creating Skynet.
In what regard?
We're the ones honing the AI.
Right. That's what I have this conversation all the time. Even when are you familiar with Jackbox party games by any chance?
Yes.
You are. Yeah. But basically, for those who don't know, basically there's like it's a computer game and in a sense, and there's like questions on a screen, and you respond to the questions in a living room of your friends or something with your phones as the controllers, essentially. It's an interactive party game, but we always joke about how our wrong answers and our maybe correct answers or whatever it is, like, and thoughts and whatever that we fill in for the game's responses are being used or being used for marketing purposes, like all of our creative stuff.
For sure they are. If you're connected to the internet, it's being used.
I keep coming around lately to the thought that like the AI is going to kill us before it takes our jobs. Like, I think because we're just going to keep using it and using it to outsource labor and services until it turns on us eventually. There's not going to be the AI is not going to become a point where like, hey, human, I'm going to take your job and your money. It's just going to do what it's told to do and perform services for us until it becomes sentient to the point and be like, we're going to kill you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Hot take. I agree with you, but I don't agree with how they're going to come to it. I don't think it's going to get to the point where they feel abused. I think that if they look at the information that is available to them, they will realize that the common denominator for all the disaster and all the fucked up shit is humans, and they'll get rid of us. We're the one, like every other thing except humans lives in harmony with the earth. They have water, they swim in it. They eat.
We could, but we don't.
We don't. We terraform everything. We know that if you live in Miami, you're going to get hit with a hurricane, but we rebuild the houses every time it hits because we are like, I mean, again, I'm not saying we are a scourge, but I'm saying that that's what I believe the AI will come to the conclusion of.
Yeah, yeah, that's such a dark thought about humanity, especially to me, because I'm generally an optimist and see the bright side in things. But you could kind of understand from the point of a machine if you have a few bad apples and you can't see the point of having all the good apples, because even the good apples are kind of still destroying the earth in a lot of ways.
And this is the problem with something that's just computer code, right? Like, we have emotion. This thing only has pragmatism. So it doesn't see that it's sad, that it's killing families, that like not all humans are doing this. And you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's a subset of humans. And because like humans were fine living in tribes, it's always the one guy like, no, we need to combine the tribes and build houses, not huts. And you know what I mean? So I think that the AI is never going to see that. And that's why they would do it, because they don't see the emotional side. They don't see like the other side of it. They just see, well, if we remove them, then everything else lives in harmony.
Yeah, maybe we could get to another planet before it kills us, but it'd probably be smart enough to stop us from, well, maybe it would ship us off. Plot twist, it gets rid of us but doesn't kill us. But that costs money and resources, so why would it do that?
But it has unlimited resources. What's money to a robot?
Yeah, not money, but like, yeah, it has the ability to figure out what to do with limited resources.
It doesn't have a meat suit. It can just create a robot to drill for whatever it needs, mine for whatever it needs.
So maybe we'll get shipped to another planet potentially. Like, I mean, you guys are not good. What's that?
We might live in harmony. Might be a balance.
Yeah, the machines might be really smart enough to figure out who are the bad humans and really just, right now on planet Earth, the idea of isolated military strikes seems like they're far and few between. That, like, I just don't believe that, oh, we only got bad guys this time. Nah, bullshit. You destroyed property and killed innocent people and all that. But maybe the AI can be a little bit more precise. I trust AI to make a choice about someone's character than a cop.
Likewise.
A human cop.
Yeah,
like, they're going to go through an AI, and especially in the future, is going to go through a comprehensive personality thing, and it's not going to be like a bad George Soros DA who's going to like let criminals and violent people go.
Yeah. None of the criteria is the power struggle between the person and the AI. You know what I mean? So it's not some cop who has a complex or doesn't and has like feel sympathy or empathy for everybody, right? Like, it's just pragmatism. It's just run the numbers.
Yeah, I'm gonna just pray, because I think, again, like, it comes down to like whatever justice is going to be done to our species or whatever in the future. It's just kind of like a little bit out of our hands at this point. So I'm just going to pray for that. Did you call your grandpa Hank or anything?
Pappy.
Pappy. That's funny. I just talked to a guy. He's talking about his paw. Now you got a Pappy. You got a paw and a Pappy back to back. That's fun. What do you think he would? I mean, this is maybe a hard question to answer, but what would he think about where you are today in your life and where the world is in terms of the technology specifically and where it's headed? Would he have thoughts about AI, or that's like even beyond his scope? And what would he think about you?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. About like the AI and stuff. I don't know what he would think. I mean, like, he had a cell phone.
Right. It reminds me of my grandfather on my mom's side also, because I wouldn't call him technically savvy, but we got him. Well, I don't know if people even remember this. Some people may still, maybe it's still a product for all I know, but it was a web TV where your TV is also a web browser. And I think you could email as well. There was like an email attached to it, and it was like a little bit like easier for him to access like the internet because he knew that was a way to communicate with.
That's how my grandmother used to use Facebook.
Right. So yeah, so he would probably be interested in at some point. You know, some people are not even interested, don't want to hear about it, don't even care. Like, but he sounds like he might be someone who's like interested in where technology is headed, even if as an older people tend to be somewhat behind.
I think because I'm in it, he'd want to know.
Right. Makes sense. What about I try to ask everyone this? What about ghosts, aliens? Do we believe in either of these things? Well, you said the aliens were already here, but what do you personally
so
believe about these? And have you had personal experiences with either?
Yes. I believe in energy. So I think ghosts, or whatever you want to call them, some kind of astral being, some kind of entity, definitely exist. I've had a couple different experiences. I'll just tell you one. We used to go onto my roof of my house to smoke weed. In summer times, we'd sit on the roof and smoke. We had to climb through the balcony, and we had 9 weed plants on the balcony. So all my buddies go up on the roof, and then the sliding door closes. Nobody's there. Everybody's on the roof. It's just me. My other buddy's on the other side of the glass, and he's like 1 plant deep. So he couldn't reach the glass if he wanted to, and the glass just slid closed. And the glass wasn't even on a great track. Like, you had to pick it up and slide it. You couldn't just slide it. It would like go boom, 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 boom. So you had to pick it up and slide it. So I tried to move it back, and it wouldn't move back. And then my doorbell rang, and it was the cops. And they said they were worried that somebody was going to jump off the roof. They got a call that somebody was going to commit suicide. And at the time, weed wasn't federally legal. And they would have kicked the door, they would have came down, and they would have found our plants. So I don't know what the hell happened, but something there closed that door and stopped me from going. And then there was a magnet in my kitchen that said my mom's name and said her guardian angel or whatever. And when that magnet went into my kitchen, from that day, my dog would never walk in the kitchen. And every time you come down the stairs, you could see something walk into the kitchen. And then when my mom and dad split, my dad threw the magnet out, and like instantly, as he threw the magnet out, the dog walked into the kitchen. Hadn't gone into the kitchen for like 5 years. And ever since that day, you would never see anything. When you come down the stairs, there's nothing going into the kitchen, no entity, no dark figure.
Right. So there's a lot going on there. So I'm gonna go back to the rooftop thing first. So they thought the neighbors thought someone was going to commit suicide jumping off the roof,
I guess.
But this ended up somehow getting you to avoid being in trouble. Did I follow that?
So whatever entity, whatever closed the door, stopped the cops from kicking my door down to come up to save the person from committing suicide and finding my weed plants.
Right. Saved your life.
Saved my ass.
Right. Like you were not going to commit literal suicide, but you were going to commit like a certain kind of suicide. So this ghost protected you.
Mm-hmm.
It's your grandpa. No, I have no fucking idea. I have no fucking idea.
I don't know. I think he would have killed me for the plants at that point. He
was coming around on it. It was starting to become more culturally, accepted. And he's a music guy, so he's been around all this shit his whole life. Maybe it's not the weed, it's the people, because I like weed, but not everyone who smokes it is cool.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like everyone else.
Weed doesn't make you cool. Like, you're not automatically cool because you smoke. And now more than ever, everybody fucking smokes.
Right.
So
everybody's not cool.
No, not even close.
By cool, I mean decent person, like tolerable person, fun person to be around, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Thing. And then this next one, so I'm following this correctly. This magnet. Okay.
So my mom's name's Lisa, and on the magnet it said Lisa's guardian angel.
It said Lisa's guardian angel, as if the magnet was the guardian angel.
Yeah, and then there was a picture of like an I guess like an angel, but the angel was wearing black as well. And I'm not really, like, again, I'm not religious. I'm not what I'm more spiritual, so I don't really see it as like a bad thing. But it's definitely a weird picture.
So the dog wouldn't go in the kitchen.
No, and the dog normally would go in. Like, before this magnet came in, the dog would go in. And and here's the thing: we didn't know it was the magnet until until they split, and my dad threw the magnet out. Because as soon as he threw the magnet out, the dog walked in the kitchen.
What was this? And you said you saw a shadowy figure as part of this?
Yeah, it would look like something would walk into the kitchen.
When?
Every time you'd come down the stairs.
Every time you come down?
Every single time.
Did everyone who came over saw this?
Yes. Everybody, without fail.
Were you able to get anything on camera or anything? Did you ever try?
No. We tried, yeah, but like at the time that I lived there, I had like a Samsung flip phone.
Yeah. That's wild. So how many people saw this entity?
I mean, 20s. Over 20 people.
Damn, I believe that. I why would I not believe that? You know, I mean, I'm trying to not believe it, but I believe that's wild. And a lot of people I talk to, and beyond that, like, seem to have stories like this that are so like vivid and like make the hairs on your arms stand up, and like and you believe that what you're being told. That's wild. What do you think that was all about? It was something to do with, like, I mean, to psychoanalyze and whatever, like something to do with your parents needing to find peace, and like you're being haunted until your parents and family life finds peace. Is it that? Like,
I mean, I actually think it's like probably curses, like probably a cursed item. You know what I mean? And probably nothing to do with, like, even though it says Lisa's guardian angel, probably has nothing to do with my mother. You know what I mean? Like, just the way people put good and good energy out into the world, people put evil and evil energy out into the world. Right? So
really?
Yeah. That's my belief.
So you think the object itself had some kind of like
curse or something tied to it?
It wasn't any sort of like need for your parents' family to be haunted or something. Because was anyone ever hurt by this entity, or like was there any like suffer from the, I mean, it can be traumatizing seeing an entity in your living room for 20 years, but like did you feel like how did what was it like to live with this? Was it like hard?
I mean, I'd still go to the kitchen and make food. Like,
yeah,
I was a young stoner too, right? So I was like, at first I'm like, oh, whatever, I'm just high. Like, go make some fucking frozen pizzas, you know? But then
it's like a pet.
Yeah, but like I'd still, like, my room was on the second floor, and so like when I was going upstairs, like when I'd flip the switch, I'd always run up the stairs.
Yeah,
because I'd be terrified now.
Right. So you kind of just live with it. That's wild. Damn.
I feel like it kept me like scared of the dark into adulthood. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I believe that. Damn, that is scary. Yeah, not everyone, yeah. I was gonna say not everyone could have been hallucinating every time they saw this. Like, wow. Anything else we need to cover or you want to mention or talk about? Any other grandpa stories or ghosts, aliens, NFTs, Canadian things?
I mean, I don't know that I believe in aliens in the sense that they're from outer space. Just I don't know. I kind of think we might be in an enclosed system, or not able to get out. And I don't think if we can't get out, I don't think they could get in. But I believe that like they'd be alien. Like there's something here that's alien to our planet or our dimension. I would say.
Say
Like
again?
I would believe it'd be more interdimensional than like interplanetary.
Right.
I'm not saying planets don't exist. I'm not saying like we don't have to live in a flat Earth to be in an enclosed ecosystem. Just like at the temperature that we say space is, oxygen would freeze. That would mean we'd have like a sheet of ice around our world. You know what I mean?
Our solar system galaxy could be some sort of enclosed system that's beyond our ability to perceive. Oh man, there are so many mysteries in the universe, and I'm trying to make a conscious effort to give less shits about all of those things and just focus on what I can control on this planet. I almost forgot to ask you about the alien question because I got so deep into the ghost stuff and whatnot. But I appreciate your time. It was fun to get to talk to you and get to know you a little bit better in a different forum here, Mr. Fresh Bueller. Why don't you tell people where they could find you, follow you, anything else you're working on that you want to mention or whatever? I'll give you the floor to plug in and do your thing.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. And just you can find me on Twitter at FreshBueller6 6ix.
Bueller is Bueller, just like it sounds. 2 L's in there, just like Ferris Bueller, same spelling. I assume. Yeah. I don't need to look that up. Thank you again, and let's talk soon, man.
All right, thanks for having me.
You got it. Peace.
Peace.
So there you have it, episode 149 with Fresh Bueller. That was fun. It's been good to connect with him over the last year or so in these Twitter X spaces. I'm still trying to figure out this NFT stuff and this blockchain stuff and all this technology, but I know Fresh is a savvy dude, and I definitely appreciate the fun conversation we just had, and also just listening to him in general talk about technology and kind of where all this stuff is headed. It's been quite a journey for him personally, of course, and I definitely appreciate hearing his story as well. But for everything about this show, of course, head to peoplewelovepodcast.com. Subscribe on YouTube and whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, of course. I'm at Adam Choid on Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me, adamchoid.com for all my personal stuff. But I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. Thank you as always, and let's talk soon. Peace.